So when you have a plus and you see prices rising all the time, and wages are rising, you see the minimum wage is rising from time to time, and then you tell yourself, I probably should cash out for some goods and services
Right.
in order.
So, so
Yeah,
what's your, how do I call, you Mitar? Matar? Mitar? Matar?
that's my name. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so I agree with you. We have the simple math, right? But if we were dealing just with logic, then most people wouldn't be in debt, right? It's not a logical thing for most people. It's an emotional thing. We understand that it's simple, right? But people get caught up in the emotionalism and the consumerism and having things that they can't afford and all that stuff. So, but the point of this show is not to really talk about things from that perspective, but the point is to find out what does the Word of God say about money. So that's the whole point of us having this show. Because many people, believe in the word, but many people don't necessarily read the word or read the Bible, so they can't really filter out what the Bible has to say about money, what the Bible has to say about getting out of debt or being out of debt or being debt free or being free, period. So that's the whole point of this show. So I don't know if you, if you, you want to hang in and kind of share some of your insights on things like that as well. You feel free. I don't know what type of religious text you may have read that might apply to what we're going to talk about today. But yeah, you're right on as far as the simple equation. We all know the simple equation, but knowing it hasn't been good enough because many of us still find ourselves in debt, unlike yourself. So you actually add a lot of value because you're not in debt. So maybe, I don't know what's going on in Israel. Maybe you learned something different. Maybe you applied something different to your life. I'm not quite sure, but that's definitely a great place to be because you free yourself to be able to make your own decisions that aren't related to having, making financial decisions as it relates to the direction that you want to go in your life. Would you say?
Yes. Basically, I got values when I was young, and I've been taught the simple math. I absorbed the feelings that makes people to get into debt, and instead of thinking of it from a negative perspective, I just accepted the opportunity, the option to have debt, from the beneficiary, how you say that, from the positive
Yeah.
aspect, which is the debt for investments.
Uh-huh.
Is one option, and the second option is debt in case of an emergency. And I just make sure that it won't happen because I always put a little bit of cash on the side.
Absolutely.
So in case of an emergency, I have a lot of cash, and but I don't store all my wealth in cash because that's not smart either.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I have just a certain amount of value in cash.
Yep.
So in case of emergency, you don't want to start looking for a buyer of a commodity. You just want cash.
Right.
And yeah,
Awesome, awesome. And exactly
it's
what you're talking about, we can call it diversification of your funds. That's actually found in the Bible as well. So I could go there today, but that wasn't the whole point of me going there today. But who knows where we're going to go? Because I just kind of follow wherever God leads us. So, hey, so thank you so much, Mitar, and we're actually getting started with the show. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Today we are Anna Donahue, thanks so much for joining. Donna, oh my goodness. Dion, you're back. Thanks so much for joining. Hey, here's the deal, guys. This is Church Without Walls. And so basically, there are people that like, well, what does Church Without Walls mean? Basically, what we're saying is that where two or more are joined together in his name, there he is. So church is not a building. Church is the people that come together and do God's will. Now, here's the deal. In my opinion, in order for you to really do God's will, you need to understand God's word. And that's one of the reasons why we started the show, because I realize there are a lot of people that go to church that don't read the Bible. They know church, but they don't necessarily know God. And so And so I kind of got fed up with a lot of things I was seeing in church. Just me personally, my personal testimony. And God was like, hey, just start a show where you just go through the word. You're a finance preacher. Just talk about what the word says and money. Now, strange as it may seem, the Bible, it talks a whole lot more about money than any other subject. If you go through the Bible, you read it talks a whole bunch about money. And so I believe it's one of the greatest finance books you can ever read. Whether you believe the word or not, you can still draw principles from what is in the word. And so for you guys to know, this is not a me show, it's a me show. So there is an open seat. If you ever feel like you want to jump into a seat, Mitar had the courage to jump in early. And I'm glad that he was able to bring value. Mitar is in Israel. He's got some things to share. He's debt free. He said he's made some decisions in his life, and he grew up some great values as it relates to money. And so he's able to transition and move about this world without being enslaved. When you're in debt, guys, basically what you're saying is a part of all that I earn is for someone else to keep. In other words, your future earnings, you have to draw from them to pay your bills, right? You got to pay that interest. You got to pay that garnishment. It's basically a garnishment of your wages to a credit card company or to some loan company or to some mortgage company or whatever it is. Until you actually pay it off, it's not yours. Let me repeat that again. Until you pay it off, it's not yours. You don't own it. You're just leasing it. Until you're leasing to buy. That's basically what you're doing. You may sit on the couch, but you don't own the couch. You're leasing the couch until you pay for it all off, and then it's yours. It's not an asset. It's a liability until it's paid off. So Pat is here. Thanks so much for joining. Pat is back in the building with us as always. And again, guys, the seats are open if you ever want to join and share. And so that's what Church Without Walls is. And so what I did, I was in debt, Mitar, and I worked my way out of debt by actually reading the Word of God and applying the principles to my life, and that's how I got out of debt. Now, luckily for you, you were blessed to have proper foundation or proper financial education growing up, so you were able to stay out of debt. And it seems like you're very astute as it relates to finances. Like you said, it's a numbers game, it's logic. We understand it's very simple. Earn more than you spend. But many of us here in America, and maybe other places where there's a big consumer capitalistic society or free market enterprise, we find ourselves spending more than we earn. And we wonder why we have this big load of debt sitting on our shoulders and stressing us out. I found that most people get stressed out about money more so than anything else. Many divorces happen because of money more so than anything else. So why don't we stop looking at the fruit and start getting to the root, which is what has been instilled in us as it relates to money, and then get into the word so we can learn what God has to say about money. Pat, how are you, sir?
Morning. Wonderful. Good to be here.
Good.
Sorry running late.
Absolutely. Mitar, thanks so much for joining. How are you today, sir?
Oh, Mater, me?
Yeah, Mitar.
Yeah, I'm fine. I wanted to ask you, you were growing up there in Atlanta, Georgia. How about the school system? Did you learn the Bible there, or did you have any financial education when you went to school?
No. So let's give you a little bit of background about me. I'm a certified financial educator, and the reason why I'm a financial educator is because I found that personal finance isn't taught in our public school education. So my goal is to actually build a school and to do what I believe public schools should do, which is give you life skills. And one of the major life skills that you need to have is how to manage money, how to be a good steward, how to deal with what comes into your hand. And like you said, get to a place where you're spending less than what you make. So at about 25, I realized that school hadn't prepared me for life. And not just school. I would say that my upbringing didn't necessarily prepare me for my financial life. And that's nothing against my parents. I still honor my parents and stuff, but they just didn't know, or they didn't know to teach me that in that manner. So I've decided to be the why or to be the solution instead of continuing to be the problem. And which is why I'm a financial educator, and I go across the country teaching people about money. So to answer your question, no. The schools don't do it here. Some schools do, but it's for the elite. It's the people that can pay for the charter school or the private school. It's I call it like this. It's the president's daughter that can go get everything that she needs to know, but she's on a different educational playing field than the commoners. the common folk. And it's crazy to me because it's not the same education system. Matter of fact, charter schools and private schools, you have to qualify for in order to be in, to get that level of education, that level of attention. Classes are smaller. There's more attention to the youth. It's just a different playing field. Over here, the more money that you have, the more opportunity that you get. Let's just keep it real, guys. The more money that you have, the more opportunity that you get. So where we want to start today, guys, don't want to belabor the point. I really want to start in Deuteronomy today, Deuteronomy chapter 28, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 3. And I want to share today a testimony that I'm going through right now. And hopefully this will help you guys to see some things. And I'm just going to share from what God is showing me. And then I've got a few other things to share with you as well. So Deuteronomy chapter 28, we start now, verse 1. It says, now, this is out of the Amplified Bible. Now it shall be, if you diligently listen to and obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all of his commandments, which I am commanding you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings will come upon you and overtake you if you pay attention to the voice of the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city. You will be blessed in the field. The offspring of your body and the produce of your ground and the offspring of your animals, the offspring of your herd and the young of your flock will be blessed. Your basket and your kneading bowl will be blessed. You'll be blessed when you come in and you'll be blessed when you go out. The Lord will cause the enemies who rise up against you to be defeated before you. They will come out against you one way, but flee before you 7 ways. The Lord will command the blessing upon you in your storehouses and in all that you undertake. And he will bless you in the land in which the Lord your God gives you. The Lord will establish you as a people holy and set apart to himself, just as he has sworn to you, if you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. I'm going to stop right there. There's a whole bunch of prosperity. But here's the deal, guys. We always sing this song, I'm blessed in the city, I'm blessed in the field. But there's a part of that song that should be in there that is not. And that part is if. Everybody in the comments below, put the word if. Type in the word if in the comments below. If. See, this is the part that we kind of skip over when we talk about this scripture. And this is why that song is great. But it's only great if we understand the full breadth of this context. The word says, if you diligently listen to and obey the voice of the Lord your God. If. So there's a conditional statement there that says, if you do this, then I will do this. Not if you do whatever you want, then I will do this. But if you do this, listen to and obey the voice of your Lord God, and be careful to do all of his commands, which he's commanding you today. Then you'll be blessed in the field, you'll be blessed in the field, you'll be blessed, you'll be prosperous, all of this good stuff. So I got to ask you guys, for those that are here, those that may be watching later on, if you find yourself in a position where you feel like you're not blessed in your finances, have you been listening to the voice of the Lord your God? Now, here's the wonderful thing about God. He can speak to you from a lot of different places. He can speak to you through Matar. He can speak to you through his book. He can speak to you through Pat. He can speak to you through me. I don't know who you're going to listen to. But if you listen to the voice of the Lord your God. Pat.
Well, I do think it's very interesting that there's a lot of that scripture that you just read that talks very specifically about personal finance, about wealth, about the abundance that you all have, and it doesn't speak spiritually as much as it does speak a lot about the physical position and wealth of that person. And I know a lot of people want to relate everything in religious or spiritual means only, but even Zig Ziglar said, I don't think God put all the good things on this earth for the other crowd. That the diamonds were put on the earth for God's crowd.
Absolutely. Now, Matar, I know that you are doing some research of the Bible and Christians. Maybe you're not a Christian yourself, but anything that you just heard from that scripture that comes out of the Bible that may speak to you at all?
I struggled to understand it all, but I didn't really understand the language is maybe high,
Okay.
High level.
I'm probably talking too fast, huh?
But the purpose, you said, if you follow the rules of of the commandment. Yes.
Yeah.
The ending I didn't understand. I didn't understand the end.
Yeah. So there's this condition. God is saying, if you will just listen, obey, and pay attention to what he says. Now, why is it so important? Because as we go through some things today, there's some things that maybe God wants to point out to you, maybe in the word that wants to point out to you that maybe you just haven't been paying attention to. Maybe you don't have the understanding. And so the first principle that I want to talk about today, guys, is pray for wisdom and not for riches. Pray for wisdom and not for riches. Now, we see all throughout the great book, it says wisdom is far more precious than rubies or gold. We also understand, and we're going to go over to 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 5 through 15. I put that in the comments below. I don't really want to be typing all this stuff, but I'll do it just for you guys. 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 5 through 15. This is the story of Solomon, the richest man to ever walk the earth, right? So I'll go ahead and start reading this. And Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God asked, "What shall I give thee?" First thing I want to ask you guys, has God ever appeared to you in the middle of the night and asked you, what do you want? Has God ever appeared to you? Maybe it wasn't the middle of the night. Maybe it was in he always comes to me when I'm driving in my car. That's why I meditate the most. I'm just driving. I love driving, and I just be meditating. He start coming and start talking to me. I don't know where he might reach out to you, but when's the last time God came to you and asked you, what do you want? Now, here's the wonderful thing about that. In order for that really to happen, you've got to put yourself in a position spiritually where you are willing to listen to God and recognize his voice. If you will listen and obey, right? So God came to Solomon. He said, in the middle of the night, in a dream, what do you want? And I believe that each and every one of you that's here today has had some interaction with God, your Father, your spiritual being, and he came to you and said, what do you want? What do you need? What do you want? Now, here's the interesting thing about Solomon. Solomon said, hey, you've showed unto my servant or my father great mercy, according as he walked unto him in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart and thee. And you have, let me read this out of the Amplified Bible. I can't read it out of King James. That just ain't gonna work. I'm sorry, guys. I can't, that's just too much old text for me. All right, one second, guys. I got to go over here to, that ain't going to work. That's just too much. Let me get out the Amplified Bible. All right. Then Solomon said, you have shown your servant David, my father, great loving kindness, because he walked before you in faithfulness and in righteousness and with uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him great loving kindness, and you have given him a son to sit on the throne as it is today. So Solomon is about to take over for David, who was king. God came to him and said, what do you want? Now imagine this. He's not even king yet, and God is already coming and asking him, what does he want? So now, O Lord, my God, you have made your servant king in the place of David, my father. And as for me, I am but a little boy in wisdom and experience. I do not know how to go out or come in. How many of you guys have been in a position where you did not know where to go out and come in? Maybe you started a new job. You didn't know what to do. Maybe you're starting a new business and you don't know what to do. I've been there, right? Stepped out, left corporate America, started my own job. And then I realized there are plenty of things that I don't know how to do. Like, for example, tax season is coming up, right? I didn't do very well with keeping track of all my records. I didn't ask for wisdom in that area. So, so I had to make up for it now. But I'm sure that you have been in a situation where you did not know what to do. You did not know where you're supposed to go. So this is where Solomon is. He's saying, hey, I do not know how to go out or come in or how to conduct business as a king. You're finna promote me. I'm about to be king. I'm a prince. I'm about to be king, but I've never been king before. So I got to ask you guys right now, what is the last time that you were promoted into some area where you had never been in that area before and you had no idea how to operate in that position? When's the last time? Where were you? What happened? Where were you where you were promoted to some position? Maybe it was at church. Maybe they're saying, hey, we need somebody to do this. And they select you. And you're like, I ain't never done that before. But hey, you know what? Nobody else going to step up to the plate. Let me do it. When's the last time that you were in a position where you were promoted to some place, some position of authority or some task that you've never done before, and now it's in your hands to do it? Pat, what about you?
Well, I think it happens to all of us every day. It's just a matter of scale. You know, something comes to us every day, and sometimes it's just someone asking for help individually, just one-on-one sometimes. And we don't always understand that we're where we're at. And a lot of times we need to take a pause and, and look at the situation and step up, for lack of a better word, step up and move forward. One of the bigger things that happened to me recently is I decided I was going to go and do these little meetings throughout different cities, and a lot of them are very small. They're, 5 to 8 people, no big deal. And then all of a sudden one of them had like 60. And there's something different standing in front of 60 people than there is standing in front of 10. It just, and the funny thing is, in the past, I had actually taught some trade school. So, I'm used to having classes of, 20. But I don't know what it is. If you're in your own hometown and some of those people, when it gets past a certain number, it's more than you were used to before.
Yeah.
And it happens to all of us, but that's part of growth. And sometimes it's not the volume, it's not the amount of people. Sometimes it's the person, that one person that has always kind of stayed away from you, and then they walk up to you and they are now in need of something and they ask. And now you're stepping into a field that you didn't ever think of being there. You didn't rehearse this one in your head. You've never been there before.
Yeah.
That one person always gave you that frumpy look, and all of a sudden now they reach out to you, and it's up to you. Are you going to step up, or are you going to, push them away because they've always been the frumpy one? When you're called, it's not always masses. Sometimes when you're called, it's to save that one starfish.
Absolutely. Maytar, man, what about you, man? When's the last time that you can recall being in a position where maybe you were promoted, or maybe you were in a field that you had never been in before, but now you're like, I got to do it?
I think that I can only think about jobs, because I like to work and to go to work, and maybe it was when I went to I wanted to go to work for a restaurant. It was maybe 1 year ago, and I came and I asked for a job, and they immediately wanted me to go to the kitchen, to be now to how you call it, to be the one in charge of what is going out, the dishes, and to where it would go. And I have no experience with the kitchen at all, and now they want me to be in charge. And later I told them that I have experience with something else, but it was a lot of pressure at that moment when there was expectations from them to me, and also of course I had motivations, but it was not enough, because I don't know anything about being in that position, and now I'm there and I don't know how to function.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So
it was also putting pressure on me, pressure not physically, also physically, but pressure mentally. Yeah. That I want to prove myself, but I don't have the ability.
So we can all relate to where Solomon is right now in this story, right? He's in a position where he's about to be king. He's never been king before. He's probably got a lot of pressure on himself that he's putting on himself just because he knows it's a position of power. He's never been there before, doesn't know what to do, and he's about to be king. So I think we've all been in that situation. We were probably in that situation just yesterday. Depending on whatever field that you're in, it may not necessarily be king, but it could just be somebody coming up and asking for directions. And you really want to give them directions, but you don't know where they're trying to go, but you want to lead them in the right direction. So Solomon is in this position where God comes to him in a dream, asks him what he wants, and he could have asked God for anything. And he said, hey, you blessed my father. My father was a great king. Now I'm about to be king, but I don't know what to do. And he says, your servant is among your people whom you have chosen, a great people whom are too many to be numbered or counted. So give your servant an understanding mind and a hearing heart with which to judge your people, so that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge and rule this great people of yours? Now, basically what Solomon asked for was for wisdom. I want to be able to understand, and I want to have a discerning heart. Now, how important or how valuable is it to you to be able to understand the ways of the world? How important or how valuable is it to you to have a hearing heart, to be able to listen and to discern between good and evil, to be able to recognize who you should be talking to and who you shouldn't, to be able to know who you should be in partnership with in business and who you shouldn't? How valuable is that? And would you say that itself is more valuable than money itself?
More valuable than gold, yeah.
Heart and a listening ear to know who, where, what, why, when you should be doing, speaking, responding to with everything. Go ahead, Maytar. You had something to add?
Yes, I have something to add. I've been thinking about something. I don't know if it's the same thing that you're talking about or very, very similar, very related. During the last few weeks or months, I'm thinking about it very deeply. I always think that it's much better. I think about it when I'm among myself, or even when sometimes I'm chatting on the internet, like right now. Then I tell myself that it's the most important thing is to identify the truth, and also to see through the lies, and to know how to define situations for your advantage, because if you don't know how to define situations, you are basically partially blind. You see the people, but you don't see their intentions. You see the world, but you don't see where is it going to I mean, what's the direction, what's the purpose of stuff.
Yeah.
So it is much more important than anything materialistic, because first of all, it's a great pleasure to see the truth and to see through the lies, when you know that you can do it, when you understand that you reach to the point, reach to the level where at a certain issue, now you are stronger. Now when it comes to, for instance, when it comes to a certain issue, you can see things that most people don't see. It doesn't happen overnight, and of course, when I say a certain issue, I don't mean that you see, I don't mean that that it's either you have it or you don't have it in all fields. No, actually, I can give you a good example. If a normal person takes this phone, and then you disassemble it, and then you look inside, you see the motherboard, but you don't understand anything. You don't understand nothing that you see. You see some green board, you see, but someone that is coming from the industry, he would open it just the same way, but he would know what he sees. So that's an example. For instance, I can relate that example to people. When I look at you and I'm trying to understand what's your purpose, how you feel, how can I now take that and make that better,
Yeah.
And also when it comes to economics and the relation between people and money, and you see, like, for instance, how am I going to make that guy to accept to hire me? You see, when I'm looking for a job,
Yeah.
like what's the things that they need to show? So basically, yeah, all that feeling for me when I practice something when I becoming good at it, it's much better than holding a coin of gold and to know that I'm debt free. The feeling of being debt free and have some precious metals, scrap metals, pieces of machinery, and of course some cash on the side. This feeling is only the result of seeing through the lies and living the truth every day.
Wow.
And
hey, hold
I feel
hold on, Maytar. You guys heard what he just said? He said being debt free or becoming debt free is only the result of being able to see through the lies and understanding the truth and living the truth. Let me repeat that again. That's so powerful, Maytar. The result, the final product of being debt free is the result of the actions that you take or the understanding that you go through or the journey of seeing through the lies and actually living the truth. So ask yourself right now, if you find yourself burdened down with debt or wherever you are, have you been seeing through the lies and have you been living the truth? Because here's the deal. We can turn it around at any point in time. We can decide today that we are going to listen and obey and pay attention to the words that God has to say. Go ahead, Maytar.
So yeah, basically the financial situation, as long as I live in a partially free society, partially capitalistic society where the markets are kind of free, like here in Tel Aviv city in Israel, I feel like I have a choice every time I wake up, even though we have some taxes and many things that are not of my choice. The things that I can choose are my intentions, which are directly related to my actions, and my actions are basically the going to result with the consequences of my future, which is my financial situation tomorrow maybe. By the way, I'm just very, very, very curious if you can tell me how exactly is it in the culture of USA to get into debt? You said that you are in Atlanta, Georgia, so you didn't get any financial education at school. And I remember that every time you get into a bank in USA, they always ask you, would you like to take a loan? Would you like? They offer you.
Yeah.
They offer. Would you like to take a loan for this, or would you like to take a loan for that? In Israel, I only got that offer one time when I called my bank to ask a question, and then at the end of the conversation, they told me, "Hey, would you like to take a student loan?" So I told them, if you ever ask me that again, I cancel my account and I go to another bank.
Yeah.
And then they didn't ask it again. It's been a few years since they asked it. And, because I feel like it's a trap, because if you don't get any financial education, you don't understand the consequences. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can't acquire abilities with age, not all of them, because age is basically a time fraction. And when you get older and then you go to the bank in US, and they always, every time they see you, they offer you, hey, would you like to take a loan for this or for that, And are they really explaining when you are in the position of taking that debt, are they explaining you that they would limit your freedom and make your life much harder if you are not going to? Are they giving you any type of warning?
No, it's called fine print.
What do you mean fine and print?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that, Maytar. It's called fine print. It's all of the stuff that you need to know that's very, very tiny that no one reads. So we'll talk about that. That's a good question, though. So Maytar, you're in a different society, but you're still in a free market system. So America is built on debt. We're $19 trillion in debt. So we're built on debt, and they continue to think that, hey, I can profit as a bank from the interest that people pay back, so I can be a big bank. They're not worried about serving customers. They're worried about being big banks, being profitable, so that their shareholders again can profit. So it's a whole different way of life in America, and the way of life in America, generally speaking, is build your life on credit. Pat, you got anything to add?
Well, I do think, since we're going over Solomon, and he was called the wisest man that walked the earth, it starts with him asking for wisdom. He was known to be the wise one because he paused and asked for wisdom. And sometimes we need to pause before we're making some of these decisions in life and how we deal with people. And we have to remember, us and God together is enough.
Say that again.
Yeah, we got some echo going.
That's me. I'm sorry.
That's Raquel. Like 3 different.
You can mute yourself
each other
when you're not talking. You can mute yourself as long as you don't talk.
What was that last part, Pat?
Well, I was just saying that Solomon was wise, and it starts with him asking for wisdom. And we need to know that anytime we in a situation that we need to make any decision at all, we need to take the pause and ask and realize us and God together are enough for any situation.
Absolutely. Raquel, what's going on?
Nothing much. Good morning. I've been listening to you guys as I've been getting ready for my day. And I just want to say that the power of discernment and just being able to recognize it is a powerful thing. One of the things that I've learned through my recent journey is in searching for my tribe, getting rid of negative people. It's removing sources away from me that are not allowing me to be great. So I just want to say that once you have the key of discernment, and once you can figure out what people's motives are, you see things differently. You start to react to people differently, but you also have to accept the greatness that is within you. And sometimes that puts you at a higher level. The higher you rise, the more visible you are, the easier it is for people to shoot you. You become a target, and then people are going to try to pull you down. And a lot of times you find yourself around people like the crabs in the barrel syndrome. Well, I like to think that I'm an apple in this barrel, and the crabs cannot get a hold of me, and someone's going to pick me, and I'm going to end up not being in this barrel anymore. So that's all I wanted to say. I had some more that I wanted to say, but for some reason.
Let me ask you a question, Raquel, because this just came up. I don't know, it might be a little embarrassing, I don't know. But isn't it great as a woman to be able to have the spirit of discernment when you have a man approaching you? Like to know whether he's just trying to, what the intentions that are behind his motives of approaching you as a man? Like, oh, okay, well, he just sees something that's cute versus he sees something or he recognizes some glow that's on me or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. It takes, I'm just going to say this, just the kind of same way that you said, our parents did the best that they knew how, that they grew up in a time where they wanted to assimilate into certain cultures. So they wanted to hide certain things from us. There wasn't a lot of pride in ourselves that was instilled in us. A lot of our mothers wanted us to be good wives. So when you stood out from just wanting to be a good wife and you were a great person, you had these other skill sets that probably should have been enhanced. They were put on the back shelf because she wanted to make sure that you knew how to cook. And I'm very supportive in a role of being someone's helpmeet or being someone's partner. I'm very supportive in that. I'm looking for that. But when the message is not given to you properly, you don't know what to look for. So what I had to learn, and this is why I'm single right now, is I had to recognize what am I putting out to understand what it is that I'm attracting. And then that kind of puts me in a position to be able to, number one, use the power that I have in what I'm attracting. But number two, just to recognize that everybody that I'm attracting is not necessarily everybody that I need to be with. So to your question, Evan, I will say yes. You having discernment, and you can see this dude coming a mile away. You can see when he starts to peacock when he was walking one way, but he sees you now, he's walking a different way. You're like, please don't send your representative over here. And one of the things that I always like to say, and people do this, is when you meet a person for the first time, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. I've never met you before in your life. Why are you lying to me? Why are you putting up false anything? Why can't you just tell me who you are and let me decide if I want to be with you? I have often, and here I go confessing some personal stuff, run into guys who have their wedding rings in their pockets. They serious. They're in some situation, or maybe they see me or whatever, and either the wedding ring is at home or they're going through a divorce or whatever, and their wedding rings are in their pockets. And I'm saying this, don't sleep with a married man. It's just not a good thing. But if you are in a situation, I think you should tell me, give me the opportunity to be a thought. You know what I mean? Let me decide whether or not I want to be in this situation before you start lying to me. Tell me that you have a wife, but it's just not working out or whatever. And then if I am a loose woman and I don't care about that, and I say, well, that's her, that don't have nothing to do with me, then that's one thing. But if you give me the opportunity to decide, hey, I'm not dealing with that, then that's a whole other thing. And guys, it's like they're just trying to get as much as they possibly can. I mean, I don't know. Those are the guys that I have been running into. So number one, I need to change my circle where I go out. And, I need to stop going out because it's not, whatever. But you understand what I'm saying and what I'm getting at.
So let me ask this question too. So I don't know why. I just like to go wherever God tells us to go. So when we're talking about discernment, I think there's two elements to it, right? I think there's the discernment of what we're putting out, right? So for example, I'm going to use a woman again, a woman that's got the tight clothes, it's got all the revealing stuff, but doesn't want anybody to talk to her. She's putting something out as if she wants attention, but then she's saying she doesn't want attention. It's the craziest thing to me. So the discernment of what we're putting out, but then also the discernment of the people that we come across, right? So I believe that God will show us, as Maytar said, that will show us how to sift through the lies if we are actually listening and obeying to what God is telling us versus listening to what that man or that prospective person may be introducing to us. What do you think about that?
Often we are told, especially when you're active in the church. I was very active in the church. So I'm going to talk about church, and I'm going to talk about working in the professional world with men. We are advised as women to help men out. There's this whole thing, use what you got to get what you want. God made you beautiful. Why are you trying to hide it? You should be able to be sexy and a Christian at the same time. So you have these assets, and you maybe like, I'm not a Front Street type of person. I worked in the music video industry behind the scenes because I wanted to be smart. I didn't want to be objectified and put in front of the camera. I didn't want to be someone's toy. And it happened often. Like, why are you back here? You should be out. No, I shouldn't. I should be right where I am because I want you to see this. My original decision to cut all my hair off was so people could see my face. Like in my 20s, I've got the natural little hair because I wanted people to see my face. I wanted them to stop looking at, everything else that goes along with it. So I struggle with this often. So number one, in church, we are indirectly, as attractive women, told that we need to help men out. Men are weak. This is what it said. And they use their eyes. So when they look at you, they are like, we got to help them out. So that means we have to dress a certain way, whatever. You sit you can't sit in the front row and wear a short skirt. So any woman that comes to church, you have the mother, sister Harrietta in the background handing out little what are they like cloths over your legs, in the front to cover your legs, just things like that. So, I'm gonna sit in the back with jeans and a do-rag and a sweatshirt on. I just want to hear the word of the Lord. I don't have time for all of this muckety muck, which is why Church Without Walls is very perfect for me. The other thing is I was very young. I was in my early 20s when I was in corporate America because I was super duper ambitious. I was a single parent, and anytime a job opportunity opened up, and if I was next to one of my counterparts and I felt she was more qualified, we would look at this opening and she would be like, I don't know. I said, okay, good, I'll take it. And next thing I know, I was interviewing for it and I found myself just moving up in the corporate ladder. Eventually, I was in front of people conducting meetings, doing PowerPoint presentations. I was social media before any of this happened, and I'm just going to say that. So I'm in front of all these people commanding, and I got men listening to me, and I'm trying to. We have a project. UPS, IBM, Hewlett Packard, Sprint, Nextel had hired us to kind of help them decide where they need to go with the future. And I have some ideas. This is my meeting. I'm the project manager. This guy at the meeting is like, "What shade of lipstick is that?" Are you serious? What shade of lipstick do I have? Did you hear anything I said? Did you hear the directive that I gave you for what you need to do out of this meeting? Here's my point. So afterwards, I had to come dressed to these meetings androgynous like an FBI agent. I had to look like, what's like Sandra Bullock would look, with a button-down shirt, some pants that were just kind of straight, not a tie, but completely buttoned up, minimal earrings, nothing that would allude that I had any kind of, femininity. But when you are who you are, it's going to show through no matter what. I could roll out of bed in a muumuu and people would still be like, "Hey, baby, what's up?" But it's the whole thing. It's a constant battle because they tell us women that it's you guys, and we need to, because you're more visual, and we have to like kind of watch what we do and what we wear, especially if we want to be taken seriously in your world. Cue James Brown. It's a man's world, but yeah, that is.
So that's awesome, because what we're talking about, guys, in case for those that are just joining, is that there was a time with Solomon before he became king. God came to him and asked him, "What does he want?" And Solomon asked for an understanding heart, an understanding mind, and a hearing heart. Again, an understanding mind and a hearing heart. So Raquel, from what your story said, hey, you saw this thing going on in corporate America, so you changed the way that you represented yourself in that job. That was part of your discernment. Like, hey, in order for me to still be project manager and get my point across, maybe I need to dress down on the outside, even though I'm still dressed up on the inside. Let me repeat that again. Maybe I had to dress down on the outside, even though I'm still dressed up on the inside. So I put in the question, what is sexy? Because like you said, you could roll out with a do-rag on and people still probably talk to you, because it's not necessarily about the attractiveness on the outside. I would say more so it's the glow that you carry. It's the spirit that you carry on the inside. Pat, you got anything to add to that?
No, it's just, we all have our own situations in life. The girls in our society obviously have a battle. And again, like I said, we're kind of going over Solomon and asking for wisdom and asking for discernment and asking, how do I make those decisions? And she did. She made some decisions because she recognized it was not going to promote her in the right way.
Absolutely.
And we all need to take a pause and see and ask for that wisdom and discern. Is this really the promotion that I want? Or is that the type of promotion I don't want? And it is. Life's unfair to everybody. But again, we're here at Church Without Walls because the chairs are so much better. But no. But I see your chair too, Raquel. But like I said, we have to accept the fact that we do need to take the pause and ask and discern and then go forward.
Right. So so basically coming from this, guys, we're saying that, man, the value of discernment, the value of intuition, the value of recognizing motives is way more valuable than gold, way more valuable than money. And I would say that if you can perfect this and you ask God for this instead of asking for money all the time, then the money will come, because you become such an attractive person and you're able to attract who you need to attract in your life, and you're able to repel who you need to repel in your life in order to get to where you want to go in life. Right. So someone asked, what is corporate America? Corporate America basically is the big corporations that run America. America isn't run by the people. America now is run by corporations. So in case you don't know that, you try being in America when Apple goes down. It's going to be a sight, or Coca-Cola goes down. It's going to be a sight to see. So America is run by banks and corporations. They fund the politicians that are up there to be puppets. Think about it. If we were run by people, then anybody could run for president. Anybody can't run for president. Running for president takes money. Takes money. That's what it takes. She asked, what is church without walls? Church without walls is just what we are here today. We're here in gathering in the name of Jesus, reading the Bible, going through the word, and where two or more are joined together in his name, there he is. So you don't necessarily have to have a building. The church isn't a building. The church is the people, and the people that come together to do what we're doing right now, to edify one another, to teach one another, to share our experiences with one another. We're not talking about what we're voting for, Dinero. Thanks so much for asking. That's not what this is talking about. You can join us in the conversation or not. Anyway, so Solomon Solomon's in this position where he's about to be promoted to king after his King David. He'd never been king before, so he asked for wisdom. And here is what God's answer was to his prayer, to his request as he went before God. Now remember, I'm saying God came to him in a dream and asked him what he wanted. When's the last time God came to you and asked you what you wanted? Did you recognize his voice? Did you respond? Great question to ask. So here's God's answer. Now, this is 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 10. We're going through 10 through 15. Now, it pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. Think about that. God came to him, asked him what he wanted. Solomon responded and said, you know what? I don't know what's going on. I just want some wisdom. I just want understanding mind and a hearing heart. And God said, oh, well, you asked a great thing. I'm pleased that you asked me this. Now, I would say, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, people ask God stuff all the time, but he was pleased to hear this from Solomon. Man, it's telling me that maybe I need to start asking like Solomon asked. See, most people, when I was going to church, it would always be the prayer for more money, the prayer to get out of debt, the prayer for all this stuff. But not often have I ever heard someone pray, even in the pulpit, for wisdom. Isn't this something? When I'm thinking about it, I never really heard someone in the pulpit as they're praying over the congregation, Lord, please just give us some wisdom. And that's it. That's it. But anyway, let me move forward. This is just my experience in the church. God said to him, because you have asked this and not asked for yourself. Listen to this. He said, because you asked for this and not asked for yourself. You didn't ask for a long life. You didn't ask for wealth. You didn't ask for that your enemies to be slayed. But you've asked for yourself understanding to recognize justice. Now think about this for a second, guys. If everyone that was a Christian or went to church or had a higher power, believed in universal, the infinite intelligence or whatever, if everyone wanted to understand and recognize justice, how much better would our world be? If everybody wanted to recognize and understand justice, how much better would this world that we live in be? Anything you got to add? Any answer to that, may talk.
Yeah, it would be much better if everyone would look for justice. But I think that few are even thinking about it.
Great answer. Pat.
Yeah, it'd be such a much better place if people were more concerned with what was right than who was right.
I agree. What was right versus who was right. Raquel.
Yeah, I agree as well. But because a lot of people spend a lot of time in front of the television, they are more inclined to want the materials that they see on there. So people become more competitive. And what people will start to do is it's called hook or crook. So they'll want to get this lifestyle, like no matter what. So everyone's not trying to do what they need. Justice. A lot of times people will rob you and try to manipulate you more so than they just try to be fair. So yeah, a lot of people are not looking for justice. A lot of people are just greed. Greed is what is, even the police who are here, who are supposed to protect and serve, something goes off in their mind when they're patting down a drug dealer and they find wads and wads and wads of cash. They're supposed to turn that in, but often they don't turn it in. They keep it. So they're supposed to be protecting us, and they're robbing, drug dealers and it becomes a way of life for some cops to rob drug dealers. They look forward to going to work just to do that.
Yeah,
so yeah, if everyone believed in justice, it would be awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned greed, right? So that's where the love of money is the root of all evil. That's greed, the love of money. Hey, Angie, I see that you're connected. You got a poor internet signal, but I got some audio from you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I purposely took the video down only because I'm not in the best of health and I don't want to, look like the devil sitting in the corner.
Oh no! Don't say that. This is this church without walls, Angie. We come as you are. But as long as you're comfortable, go ahead. You can add that way if that's what you feel like, man.
Well, yeah. It's neither here or there, but I will admit, I was raised by a father who said you got to dress properly just in case the queen comes over. Well, I'm not dressed properly, so I got to stay blank.
Okay, that's cool.
But I do agree with a lot of what I've heard. I just don't know how to put into words what it is that what you're saying makes me feel. Because I was raised by a Catholic family, and in my mind, Catholic and Christian were pretty close. We're like cousins, so I never really made a distinction at that time because, again, I was very young. I was like 5 or 6 years old. That kind of stuff really doesn't sink in at that age. And so I'm just kind of like wondering, okay, knowing that my mother called me Angela, which means the voice of God, it's like, oh, yippee. I always felt pressured to speak up and say stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now, like you said earlier, I will admit I'd gone to bed one night, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and all I could hear when I woke up was change. That was the only word I heard was change.
Now, when you heard the word change, that could mean a lot of different things. So
I know.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish. I don't want to interrupt. This is going to be good.
Oh, no, but that has been my struggle, trying to figure out what does change mean, right? So I just kind of in one ear, out the other ear, and I just coast for a little while. And then I got struck down by a stroke. And again, maybe about 2 weeks after when I came home, again, I woke up one morning to hear that same word, change. Okay, now I'm also part Native. I have Mohawk in my family. And so I'm pretty open to the kind of, I guess, spiritual, Mother Nature, paranormal kind of thing, in addition to my religion. And so, like, it all comes together. And I think with this business that I'm doing, yes, I'm not making oodles and oodles of money, but I am getting a word out and people are responding to me. So I believe that's what my word change meant. Stop trying to make the money and just deal with the people.
You about to get me started, Angie. You know, you ain't heard my whole message. You about to get me going here, Angie. Keep on talking like that now. That is phenomenal. So Angie, I will say this. I went through that, I believe, and you know what? I think everybody here has been through the same thing, or you're going to go through the same thing, and it's going to be. I call it a breaking point. Angie heard the word change, and many of us understand this: that in order for your life to change, that you must change. In order for your life to change, you must change. So my life, and very similar to what Angie is saying, is when I had this breaking point where I recognized that I had to go chase my mission instead of chasing money.
Yes.
So this is what has brought this Church Without Walls, brought me where I am today, because I recognized that where I was being led, where the Holy Spirit was leading me to, was to focus on the mission. And I'm going to share my story in just a little bit, because again, it's very relevant to what actually happened yesterday. I'm going to share that in a little bit. But once I obeyed, not decided, once I obeyed, because we can say we decided, but it wasn't my decision. It was the commandment that was commanded upon me, and I just needed to obey. Then I started to see my life become free. he's come so that you can have life and life more abundantly. But many times we voluntarily give our life away. And what I mean by that, when I say you give your life away, I'm saying when you go on a date, you're voluntarily saying, "Hey, I have a new master." So when you voluntarily do that, you still have to make a decision to obey, not a decision to decide, a decision to obey wherever it is that you're being led to. So I think for you, Angie, that this change meant that change to obey my voice and not obey the society or the circumstance or the whatever it is, because we all learn certain things growing up, right? But then I believe that here's the thing. Let me share a little bit about my story and then I'll shut up a little bit. So just to give you an example of what I'm going to talk about is just yesterday, last week I recognized that I need to quit my little part-time job that I have. And I didn't obey. I was like, no, I need to keep, in my head, I'm saying, let me keep it. Let me make it just this one last month. Let me just make it. And then it was revealed to me yesterday that when God came to Peter and Peter was working on his boat doing his fishing, when Jesus came to Peter, he said, "Come follow me." He didn't say give your 2-week notice. He didn't say rationalize everything. He said, "Follow me." And that spoke to me yesterday. It's like, why am I not just doing what God told me to do? Why am I not listening and obeying? And so I'm going to share a little bit more about it, because I want to step and give other people an opportunity to talk. But Angie, I think for you, for however long time that was, that now you're in a position where you can just freely obey, and you can let God use you to impact the world in the way in which you're supposed to change the world. And I see that you do like mobility services. You're in Canada. Yeah. So I think that's the area where God needs a voice, and that voice can come through you.
I sure hope so. I do feel rather what I call, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel not necessarily privileged, but I do feel very thankful. And I do know that when I was growing up, I did not have anyone else to talk to or to listen to, right? Wow. And at that time, I was very rebellious. So anything to do with religion was out the window. Because I thought at that time...
Hold on, Angie. Yeah. You got a little pause, man. You said anything that has to do with religion went out the window.
Yeah, when I was a teenager. Not now.
No, I'm saying, what did you mean by religion went out the window? What is that? What do you mean by
I just gave up. I never went back to church.
Oh, okay.
I just said, okay, well, I know what I need to know. That's all there is. You could reprint the Bible in so many different ways. It's still going to say the same thing. So I never really delved into it, so I just let it go. Okay. And I think that probably was not a very good idea. But, as a rebellious teenager, you're not thinking.
Yeah.
And like I said, it took a stroke, to wake me up, so to speak.
Woo!
Yeah.
And Angie, it may be a stroke for you, and God bless you for still being here. But it's I found that for many of us, it's something that God that's something that came across our path that finally woke us up.
Yes.
For you, it was a stroke. For me, it was seeing someone's life on the line because of decisions that I made that finally woke me up. Wow. Pat, what about you, man? Is there something that came across you that you decided I'm going to change instead of coast?
Well, I think all our decisions come either at a point of desperation or inspiration, and usually it's a result of what we did ourselves in the past. Where we are at the moment is just the residual effect of what we did yesterday.
Yeah.
That's what got us here. And when you accept that, then you can start looking in the future and go, well, if I change what I'm doing here, then my future can be brighter than what my past suggests.
Mm-hmm.
Raquel.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us get doomed often. And like I said, sometimes when I want to read the Bible, I'll take it and I opened it. And when I started going through what I see right now as a metamorphosis, the book of Job opened. So I started reading about it, and just all the things that kind of apply to it were happening. God was taking things away from me. Now, in my mind, I was already in a point of greatness. Like I was very, happy, but I needed to be humbled, and I'm still struggling with why I'm being humbled. But there's something I'm supposed to see. There's something that I would not have seen with my head up in the clouds. There's a direction that I need to go. I know I've been told to stop asking all these whys, but I'm the type of person that if I can understand what's going on, then I can try to fix it and just make it better. So I always have a sense of urgency. There is, obstacles. When they put obstacles, are just they're roadmaps. So if you're going in a certain direction and an obstacle comes in, you have to decide to turn left or to turn right. So you
or to go over.
Yeah, or go over it. Right, to get it together to go over it. So clearly, I'm being humbled. Clearly, things are being removed when I thought I had it going on. You know what I mean? So I just have to. I'm listening. I want to know, and I just have to. I don't know. I have an idea right now. I'm just having a difficult time verbalizing it because the words are. I wish we could just come and grunt and everybody could just get it. But I have a lot of things going on in terms of just supernatural messages that are coming to me. I know what it is that I have to do. One of the things that I want to say, even when you just obey a little bit, when you know that God is telling you to stop a certain behavior and you stop it for like a week, I've been a witness to just the gate of blessings just overflowing, just coincidences of things just finding like $1 bill when you had $1.50, you need $2.50 to catch the MARTA. Just when you obey a little bit, he will show you things that you've never seen before. So imagine if you totally immerse yourself in complete obedience. And we all know what it is that we have to do. The struggle is the flesh. The flesh likes to feel pleasure. So the flesh is it confines us. We are spiritual people, but we're locked inside of this thing. This wants to feel, I don't know, the satisfaction of caffeine. It drives us to just kind of forget how spiritual we are. That's why meditation is important. That's why we have to kind of reflect and pause, because sometimes we can get so hurried in the hustle and bustle. And again, I'm talking entirely too much, so I will just kind of be obedient. Pass the mic.
Miss Angie.
Yes.
I don't know if you had anything to add to what Miss Raquel was saying.
Actually, no, but I'm still absorbing.
Well, cool. Well, Miss Angie, if you like, we want to be able to give Miss Danelle A. Crafts a seat. If you have anything to add, feel free. Or do you have words for the people before you stay with us, but jump out.
Well, the only thing that I truly believe the message toward me was meant to imply is to be that mentor for the other people that were like me at the age that I was being tormented. And I mean that loosely. I mean, I'm not saying I was physically abused or whatever, but I'm saying spiritually tormented and internally and emotionally confused, rebellious at that age for being a disabled teenager. And I never had, like I said, I never had anybody to actually look up to as an example or a guide. Right? So this is what I want to do for the next generation. I want to show them that I went through hell and I came out on the other side unscathed. So can you.
Absolutely. We got a Miss Daniel on the line. She's been through the lion's den. It's coming out smelling like roses.
Well, thank you for letting me join in, but I got to take care of my puppy.
All right. Thanks so much, Miss Angie.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Come back.
Mr. Nell, feel free to join. It seems like you had some similar things that you might want to share. Coming in hot. I don't know if you need to refresh or not. Oh, there she is.
How
Hey,
are
Mr.
you?
Nell.
Hi, my name's Marietta, but Danelle is my business. It's all me anyway. So
Okay. Hey, Marietta, how are you?
good. How about yourself?
Oh, doing good.
I was just, yes, amen, all that kind of stuff. Between Angela and the lady underneath me, I can't see the name. My eyes can't see it, but I really appreciate what they were saying. I've been going through, I guess, a metamorphosis. We know it's Lent in the Catholic faith right now. And I appreciate Angela I love when she said the Christians and the Catholics are cousins, because that really rang a bell to me, because if we don't start accepting each other, God's not happy with that, not accepting each other. We all are a part of his body, hands, feet, and all that. So I really appreciated her saying that we are cousins, just a little different, but we're cousins, But what I'm saying with I'm going through some stuff now that I moved away from the area where my church is, and they have kind of said, you're on your own, and I got to go to another church. And I love the church I go to, but because I don't have my own transportation to get me there, I'm kind of stuck, kind of like a nomad land, sort of like, in the desert kind of thing, without any roof over, church roof over my head. So I was told that that I had to reach out to the local church around here. And I was like, no, I want to go where my friends are, I want to, And so just recently I inquired about it, because not having the Eucharist in me, which is the host, which we believe is part of Jesus, and without having it for like 5 weeks now, my temperament has been out the door. And I haven't been very Christian-like or spiritual-like, not that I'm lashing out or anything, but I'm just not able to give the love in my home where I need to. And I'm feeling kind of crushed in my spirit here. So recently I just inquired about getting the host brought to me through the other church. And then I was talking to another friend, and I was saying, I realized he was going to the church, so I inquired, you think we can go to church together at the other church that I don't really want to go, but if I went with somebody I knew, maybe I'd feel better, So that's in the works. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but like you said, you take a little obedience, and you investigate, something else might come out of it. And so that's where I'm at right now. It's just that I'm in a special housing, and last 2 weeks they put a roommate in here. We're not mixing, and we're just not mixing, and it's just really depleting me this year for my Lent process. And I don't know what God has in mind with the situation. I feel like I need to go back home and start over again where I came from. Maybe find something different. But then I'm like defeating the purpose. It took 27 years for me to get here, to get my own housing again, and so I got to weigh out all this stuff, But
so, Miss Marietta, you said something very important there, right? You said you're thinking about going home, but you realize it took you 27 years to get here.
Yep.
So think about the people that were traveling around Mount Sinai on their journey to the land of milk and honey.
I think I got another 27 years to go.
No. But it's what we're saying is that I'm not 27 years away from where I came from. I'm 27 years closer to where I'm going.
Yeah.
There's a difference in the perspective. I'm not 27 years removed from where I came from, but I'm 27 years closer to my land of milk and honey. But I'm gonna let Raquel take this because she has some very similar connections, I believe, to you and where you are right now. You guys both mentioned metamorphosis, so I think that there's an opportunity for edification that might come from Miss Raquel.
Okay, thank you, Miss Raquel.
Okay, so while you were speaking, I was getting a little, I don't know. I was being moved by what it is that you were talking about, and I guess it's because that I can relate. Catholics are sometimes sometimes they're tortured into their belief system. This is my personal opinion. I went to Catholic school as a Christian, and I thought Catholics were Christians. I don't know, but I went to Catholic, and I just stood out, and I was just different. What I know is that the relationship that you have with God, it is personal.
Yeah,
it is as much as to the point where we all look different. That is how he reacts to us. And all of us have a light inside of us, and we carry that light around. And I want to say this to you. You said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You do. You know. Yeah. It's tapping at you, but yeah. What it is so different from what you're used to doing that you're not able to move because you're afraid. Yeah. Fear is that thing that'll make you like here, but the moment everything you want is on the other side of fear. Yeah. The moment you step into and I've said before, be excited about the unknown. Maybe you don't want to go to this new church in your new area, but somebody's waiting for you at that church. Somebody's waiting for you in that environment. There's a story that you have, and the pastor or preacher might be up there talking, and you might be, oh, hey girl, how you doing? You might just be having this conversation in the pew in an uncomfortable chair to this person that's going to take this person and move them, from there. Sometimes we have to, and I am guilt talking to myself, we got to get out of our own way. Yeah. And this whole thing about Catholics and Christians being cousins, we're all connected.
Yep.
We are all connected. And if you are silent enough and you meditate when you have to, you'll feel it. You'll sense it. You'll see people walk by and you'll understand that's my brother or that's my sister. So I'm thinking you're reaching out because every time you try to say, I think I should go back home, you say, oh, but there's a guy and maybe I think he should take me to this church. And then you say, well, I want to go to this other church, but maybe I'll have this church come and bring the Eucharist to me. The Eucharist is inside of you. It's in his love. It's inside of you. It stays inside of you. It never goes. And that's what church should be teaching us. But they want our tithes. They want us to help us get, shiny gold paraphernalia in their churches. But we have to realize that it's in ourselves. We have to give from ourselves, and it has to be overflowing into the world. Somebody's waiting for you at this new place, even if it's just for one service.
Right.
Somebody has been coming there every day, very like, why am I here? What is going on? They're waiting to see you walk. Even if you walking through that door,
right,
might be enough for this person. Because I've been there a lot. I have several churches that want me to come in. I praise dance at church, so I like to go drop my seed, praise dance. But I have to come back here because I've gone through some things in some churches, like just some things, like.
But just so you know, I've had my runaround as far as I call church hopping. So I've had that runaround, and I've found myself coming back to the Catholic Church. So I've made that decision a long time ago, and I feel that it stabilizes me better than more freer churches are, and I'm able to. Connect with my, the God's with that issue. It's not that I have an open mind, or else I wouldn't even be on with you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I'm open-minded, and I'm always looking for other inspiration. I guess it was Sunday, and I wanted to do something spiritual today, and to try and get some re-energize myself with some kind of thought process in my mind to get it out of the funk that it's been in. I have medical conditions that I've been working on, and that I have that are chronic, and some are not diagnosed right now. And so I'm in the process right now and going to the doctors. They're trying to figure me out, and sometimes I wonder if they're going to miss the mark sometimes. So, but so that's why I believe the spiritual, being connected with a church and being able to get your mind ready for the week and all that stuff. You got to get your mind ready. I used to say I get my mind ready at church. I go to counseling to get my your body, your soul from the church and your mind from the counselor, and you go to the doctors for your body, that kind of thing. Somehow it all connects, and if they're not all in place, then you're not going to be 100% in what you're doing. What you're able to do.
Absolutely. Well, Mariette, I will say this, that we're having church right now. So you can feel
I know.
We'll be here. I didn't realize how powerful just us coming together would be, but we'll continue this thing.
Okay, cool.
If you ever feel like no transportation or whatever, that's not going to stop us from meeting right here at any point in time.
That's right. That's right. So I also watch my Catholic stuff on my tablet sometimes, but it's just meeting with my friends and that kind of thing that I'm missing. And Angela was talking about, things leaving, things are changing and things were taken away from her. And I like what she said about Job. And, and I know God's doing something up there that I'm not exactly
in tune with right now.
In tune with. I got an inkling, but every time I get an inkling, there's something else that he had. Hey, Marietta, go over here. I'm like, what? And and with my business also, ever since I've been on Blab, I've been getting so many more hits on my Facebook and on my other pages, and the support I've been getting with some professional people about my business and how to get it more organized and how to make me feel better when I'm talking and things like that. It's phenomenal. I even in that, God is working with me with Lab, and I was like, I said I didn't realize God was a techie. I really didn't. He's obviously blessing me in that area, and now I've met you guys, and I really appreciate your support. If you could just keep me in prayer on protection, I would appreciate that. It's not a good situation here, and I'm between a rock and a hard place, and maybe that's the place I need to be, but Jesus is the rock, so that's not that place.
Pat, man, you got anything to add?
Well, first I want to say hi to the new cousin. Nice
Hello,
to meet you.
cousin.
I think that was so beautiful and powerful, that thought that we are all cousins, and we need to keep that. And the other thing you said, something about being a rock in a hard place, isn't that how diamonds are made?
That's a possibility. God is the potter and we are his clay, kind of thing. So that's a good Lent. That's a good Lent. Lent is all about changing your heart and moving forward and letting go some things. That's what basically Lent is. We believe in the seasons of God, where we go from his childbirth to his adult years, but we know God. We know God is the all in all aspects of life and everything. There's been a lot of change in the Catholic Church right now because of the Pope Francis, and he's just really opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people. I just recently started doing lecturing, and I'm like one of the first people who have special needs that are able to go and do the lecturing at my church. So I kind of like, see, that's what I don't understand. I can do lecturing, but I can't go to church, so I'm frustrated. So So hopefully things will get straightened out. But I do think there's a reason that I need to go to the other church, just even temporarily, and maybe some more connection somehow. And so it's just I have to adjust my mind to, okay, God, this is what you want me to do. Help me go through it, that kind of thing. So, and we want what we want. We don't want what God wants.
And that's where we are. That's where we want to get in alignment. We want to think as He thinks and want what He wants. And that's where we started at, guys. We're in Solomon's prayer to God, and we're saying that that Solomon obviously asked for wisdom, and he sought God first, and then all these other things was added unto him. So just to kind of recap, we're in 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 3 through 14. Solomon, God came to Solomon in a dream and asked Solomon, "What do you want?" That's important. We need to be on the lookout for when God comes to us and asks us, "What is it that you want? What do you need? How can I help you?"
Right.
Think about that, man. So I don't know if it's going to come to you in a dream. I know for me, God comes and shows up when I'm driving my car. I don't know where that place is for you, where you're in meditation, just waiting to hear from God.
Can I give you a little example of that experience?
All right, ma'am.
All right. Well, I was in church, my church at home, and I must have gone somewhere. It felt like I got into a whole other realm of things when I was at church, and I felt like I was in a movie theater kind of thing, and I was the only one there, and this big screen was up in front of me, and all of a sudden, certain parts of my life was being put on the screen, and like sort of on and off kind of thing, or wax on, wax off kind of thing. And he says, "This one, yes. This one, no. This one, yes. This one, no." And I said, wait, what's going on here, And I was like, and I woke up from it, and I said, I got to make a list, kind of thing. And I've been slowly going down that list and working on it. Mainly the business was there and stuff like that. And I had let go certain things. I had, I'm part of a Third Order of St. Francis, which is a tertiary order, which is secular, which is they go with the community, or they work within the community, and they bring the story of Francis, or they live the life of Francis. And that was one of them. He said, "You forgot something." And I was like, "Oh, I forgot my promise," And then I went. Last year I went to a hospital, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, God, I'm here. What are you trying to get my attention of?" And then he reminded me of the St. Francis, and then I said, "Okay." So I promised to do that if you help me feel better, And so he did, and I was able to reconnect. And every time I went somewhere, I ran into someone that was a member of St. Francis, and I was like, "Okay, this is not okay. I got it," So I do hear him. And I do speak to him on a regular basis. It might not be your way or whatever. It's my way, and he talks to me in a different realm of things. And sometimes I feel like he takes my creativity. I do art, and he talks to me through that as well. But those are the two things that I remember specifically that were, again, metamorphoses in my life, life changing, and I had to be willing to do those changes to get back. And I have seen the benefit of it. So, but not everything is a benefit. Just working for God is for his benefit, not necessarily for my benefit. It's just sometimes we get benefit from it because we're doing it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. Change, but don't coast. And so, as Solomon, he came to him. Solomon asked, said, "Hey, I'm about to be king. I've never been king before. I'm just asking for wisdom." He asked for understanding mind and a hearing heart. And so there may be some of you guys that are about to step into some positions that you've never been in before. Maybe you're about to be promoted on your job or in your career, or maybe your business is about to take off into some new realms. And what I would say to you is, don't be afraid of that. Embrace that.
Yeah.
Embrace that promotion because it comes from God. But secondarily, do what Solomon did. Ask for an understanding mind and a hearing heart. Don't ask for more customers. Don't ask, you can have the prayer of Jabez where you're asking God to enlarge your territory, but you got to understand when you ask that territory, you got to understand what your territory is. And typically your territory is where you can spread the word of God. But as it relates to your business, as it relates to, which I'm the finance preacher, as it relates to your economy, your personal economy, here's the deal. Here's what happened for me when I started asking for wisdom. I could literally tell who was my customer and who was not. Okay. Everybody isn't my customer, and I can say no to people now, right? Instead of just trying to have everybody be my customer and take all, whatever money comes my way, because I'm not focused on the money, I'm focused on the mission. I can recognize some people that I just don't need to do business with. And Pat, I'm pretty sure you can tap into that. There have been some people you just had to say no to. Maybe they were the person that's nagging. They're that nagging customer that just will never be satisfied. You got to pass them off to somebody that can handle them. Maybe it's that customer who, for some reason or not, they're always asking for the discount. They never want to actually bring the true value for whatever it is that you're bringing. There are people or customers that I've really had to say no to because God has given me a understanding mind and a hearing heart to listen to him on who I should do business with. And that's the luxury of when you have your own business, by the way. You can choose who you do business with. You don't have to take every customer's call.
Right, exactly. You can outsource it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, part of the wisdom comes from realizing that they are looking for a win-loss instead of a win-win. And when you find a person or a customer that's looking for a win-loss, and whether it's financial or emotional or spiritual, if they're looking to drain you and not help each other build, then you have to have that wisdom and have that hearing of your heart. And a lot of times it's a heart thing. You hear it here before you hear it here. Mm-hmm. You hear it in your heart. It's like they're not right. There's something not right here.
They're fascinating.
They're fascinating. But like I said, if they're looking to win, because and the only way they feel they win is if they can prove in their own mind that you're losing. If they're looking for a win-loss instead of a win-win where we're both building each other, then they're not the right person. And we're looking for people that'll help each other, that'll help build each other up. And today we're in the church environment, right? So today we're looking for the spiritual building of each other up, and not building me up by stepping you down. Right. You don't climb up by climbing on people. You climb up by working together and picking up the ladder. And when you run across those people that only seem to build themselves up by cutting you down, they're not your people. They're not,
I had that situation here. The roommate is like constantly breaking the rules and whatever, and put me in danger last week. And it's like he's getting away with it. And I'm like, I'm the one doing all the right things, and she's getting away with, because the program wants the beds filled. So they're not necessarily interested in the persons that are in the bed, but more or less they want it just filled. They're supposed to be taking care of us and keeping us safe, but it's a business of Swiss cheese is what I call it. It has full of holes. And I use that analogy because it gets the point across real fast. And so it's just, they're a new program and they use that all the time. And they've been, through management and everything a couple of times over. And, something's not going well. And I've been trying to make noise. The more I make noise, the more I get shot down, kind of thing. And, but I don't know. I just don't know what to do with the situation. She has a visitor that should not be here more than twice a week, and and I have certain conditions that he's setting off. So it's
So,
and they're not understanding.
So, Miss Marietta, I think that this is great, a great time because we're talking about what Solomon did.
Yes, I'm sorry if I get off track.
No. You're on track.
Okay.
Because you said I don't know what to do, and when you don't know what to do, the same way that Solomon didn't know what to do, he asked God for wisdom. So I would say follow what Solomon did.
I'm going to do my homework a little later and take it out. Yes.
So ask God for wisdom. He's going to give you the answers. Ask, seek, and knock. So instead of focusing on, I don't know what to do, just say, okay, well, I recognize I don't know what to do. Now let me get in front of him to find out what I should do.
Right.
What can I do? What's in my control?
You might just want me to be quiet and let things develop kind of thing. But
I don't know. I don't know. That's you and him having that conversation.
That's one of those things that I've been mulling about, just let things develop on their end and watch the fun,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, fun. That's right. Watch the fun. Be fascinated.
Yeah.
Raquel. Oh, you just back there chilling. I see you with the pencil.
Yeah, I'm chilling. I'm listening. I think when I went on my last rant, I hit some kind of spiritual climax, so I felt a little empty.
Okay, that's fine.
And
guys, man, as Solomon, he was in his position where he was about to get promoted. He asked God for wisdom, and God's response was that he was pleased by this request. He was pleased that Solomon didn't ask for long life. He was pleased that Solomon didn't ask for wealth. He was pleased that Solomon didn't ask for the lives of his enemies, but he asked for the understanding to recognize justice. So God said, behold, I have done as you've asked. I've given you a wise and discerning heart so that no one before you was your equal, nor shall anyone equal to you arise after you. I've also given you what you have not asked for. Let me repeat that again. I've also given, this is the Lord speaking to Solomon, who came to him in a dream, asked him what he wanted. Solomon asked for wisdom. God said, I've not only given you wisdom, but I've also given you what you have not asked for. And my take, and what I'm taking away from that, is that if I ask God for wisdom, I go to God and find out what God wants me to do, then God will grant me not only that, but the desires of my heart, because God made me and he knows me. He knows what I want, but I'm seeking after his kingdom first and his righteousness, and all other things to be added unto me. And so I say this to say that there are many of us that's going to ask for money. There are many of us that's going to ask for more customers. There's many of us going to ask for all these things. And God's simply saying here, who he spoke to the richest, or the wisest man who ended up being the richest man to ever live, that this man, he sought after wisdom and all the other things. Now, what are we saying when we say wisdom? Wisdom is the principal thing. We understand that. Wisdom is the principal thing. So if we read that in Proverbs, we understand that wisdom also is the word of God, then we should, to me, it would be prudent of us to seek wisdom. But we don't always do that, nor do we hear this often in the church. Just my opinion, the churches I've been to. Seek wisdom. Wisdom is the word of God. Jesus was wisdom walking in flesh. All of this is synonymous. It's a part of what comes with your package when you accept him and you usher in the Holy Spirit into your life. Seek wisdom. Now, it says that he not only gave him not what he asked for, but wealth and honor came along with the wisdom. Wealth and honor came along with that as well. And it said, it says, so that you shall, again, continue to be equal. No one should be equal to you among your kings all of your days. And I want to tell to each and every one of you guys that you are kings and queens in your area. And that if you seek wisdom first, then no one will be equal to you in your area where you are a king or queen. This is synonymous to the areas that you're supposed to lead. God said that you'll be blessed in the city. You should be head and not the tail. So that tells us that you are going to be a king and a queen in some area. Now, here's the key thing. You got to find out what that area is. Where are you a 10 at? That no one is going to be equal to you as long as you're following God. And then all the other things are going to be added unto you. Why? Because you're following God. The wealth is going to be added. The honor is going to be added. Don't think for 1 second that God doesn't want us to be rich. He wants his people to have the wealth to do good on the earth. But are we prepared for the riches? Are we prepared for it? And are we seeking the right thing? See, we know that the evil people are seeking that love of money, the greed. They just want the money. And what we got to be, we got people that saying, the money will come. I'm going to focus on the mission. Pat.
Well, and I think I'd like to close. We've been doing about an hour and a half now, but and I'd like to say, nice meeting all you cousins.
Nice.
But the word for the day is if.
If.
Oh, is that like the Onceler?
No, it's if you will listen and obey, if you will pay attention to my voice, then all these things shall come upon you.
Yeah.
If.
Gotcha.
Raquel, any last words for the peeps?
The reason why I said, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, it's not.
No, because I'm stumped. I'm in a reflective mood.
Marietta, you got any last words for the peeps before we close?
Well, I was just going to say about, I don't know if you know the story of Dr. Seuss and the Lorax. And he goes, unless you take the responsibility then of some, your actions, the repercussions are usually not good. So we gotta, like for instance, if you kill trees, are you going to replant them? That kind of thing. If we are in the process of making the connections, are you going to help that other connection, or are you going to just sit there and take what they need to give you, train them, So for me, it's a give and take. You share your skills with other people. You don't necessarily just take all the time. So.
Absolutely. That's that checks and balances. We might talk about that next week. Raquel, peeps.
Just like always, just continue to love on one another. Stop hating on each other. Grow, learn, and take as a human, continue to evolve. Don't be complacent and think that you are wherever you need to be, and just practice a little bit of obedience, because even a little bit of obedience will take you a long way. He is telling you what it is that you need to know, but sometimes we just choose to ignore it. And as women, when you're like, I tell a lot of women, we have intuition. Men have it too. Our intuition is just a little bit more fine-tuned. When your stomach is hurting because something is going on, 9 times out of 10, it is not gas. It is somebody telling you that something is wrong, or there's always going to be something on you that feels a certain way. It's telling you, what it is. God built our bodies, and he puts certain things in us to let us know when we are on the right path and when we're on the wrong path. So we just have to be able to listen to it. That's from my experience.
Absolutely, man. Well, this is Church Without Walls, man. Change, don't coast. And the key word for this week, man, is if.
I'm going to put that on my board over here.
So we'll be back next week, guys. I don't know what we're going to talk about, because I'm still trying to get to the story of Elisha, but we just go wherever God leads us. And that's the great thing about not being on the program. You just flow with the Spirit. So I want to thank you, Marietta, for joining in. Angie, I know you're gone, but thank you so much for joining and sharing your story. This is what it's about. It's about people coming together, sharing one another, edifying one another with no restraint. And that's what we can do here with Church Without Walls. So we'll be back again next Sunday at 8 a.m. I'll be here. The question is, will you? Be blessed, man.
I'll put it on my calendar, peace.
Hi, guys.